Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we're going to be talking rogue followers, and we're going to be putting them into a tier list so that you guys can figure out which rogue followers you want to level up and which ones you want to take on those grand heists. So we're going to be going into perks, gear, and all the good stuff that you're going to need to know, and it's going to be a good time. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So why do you want to focus on specific followers? Because all followers were not created the same. Some of these guys have better perks than others, and also grinding these guys up to level 5 to get the most out of their perks is quite a grind. I would estimate it's probably going to take about 30 to 40 normal contracts to get a follower from level 1 to 5. So it's definitely not something you want to take too lightly, and you want to be leveling up guys that you know are going to be good in the end game. And I'm here to tell you who that's going to be. So to begin with, we quickly wanted to look at the difference between contracts and blueprints so that you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm assessing these guys. So let's quickly get into it. So contracts, they are a map in a heist, they're a heist, which require one type of rogue. So this one here requires engineering level 4. When I come over here, I can prepare the heist and I'll pick between all of the engineers. So that's pretty simple. You're basically going to have one guy that you go to every time for like your engineering, all that kind of stuff like that. So when you're planning this out, I'm sure that everyone's probably thinking in their head or internalizing what I have down here, but you probably want to pick out like, okay, so for lock picking, I'm using Talina. For perception, I'm using Nanette, etc, etc, etc. You want to set this up so that you know who you're using and who you're prioritizing. So you don't level up multiple different people, you make sure that you're doing the right ones, etc. So the next thing you guys need to know is that not all followers can get to level 5 in every single skill. So you can see here that Nanette has perception and counter thaumaturgy, but she is maxed out at level 4 right now, and the reason I can tell that she's maxed out at level 4 is because it says next level 0 and her current XP is 2000. So if any of the rogues that you're trying to grind up a level on say next level 0, that means that they're capped and you can't take them any higher, which is some pretty good info for you guys. But you can see here that she can get to level 5 perception. It says next level 10,000, so that's pretty cool information. So to be absolutely endgame viable, you're going to need a level 5 rogue in every single skill. Now you're probably saying, hang on a second, Grimo, what on earth are you talking about? You've got like the same person here like multiple times. You've got Nanette here for thaumaturgy, but she can only get to level 4. How studious of you, loyal viewer. There is actually items which increase the base level of a follower's skills. So there's a weapon, it's the weapon slot. You can roll +1 all skills, and you can also roll +1 of their main skill. So what this means is essentially I can have Nanette to counter thaumaturgy level 5, meaning you can actually laser focus on a few of the rogues. Additionally, you can just pick blueprints and contracts which don't have level 5 on them. They seem to be very rare. I don't think I even have any of them yet which require level 5, sorry. So they're definitely not very common. So yeah, you won't have to worry about that too much, but if you have those weapons on them, you will be able to kind of get past that anyway, and make sure you have a very tight roster. The tighter your roster, the less level 5s you require, and the more very overpowered perks you can make use of. So now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about blueprints. This is going to be massively important information. So when you're doing a blueprint, you might be thinking, okay, so let's say I have this blueprint here. I got a lockpicking, agility, demolition. So you'll come up here, you'll be like, okay, I need a lockpicking one. I'll use Talina. Now I need an agility one. Okay, so I've already used Talina. Oh, should I use her again? What's going on here? Now this is the point of information that you guys are really gonna need to know. So if I choose to double up here on Talina, you will actually get to double her perks and her gear. So if you actually go to right over here, we'll look at Talina. So she has 14% reduced raising of alert level. If I put her twice on a contract, now it's going to be 28%, and she'll have 44% chance to get additional heist targets. So that's really, really powerful. And also her gear on her will be doubled up as well. So you can see here it's got 10% reduced alert from chests. That'll go to 20, and she'll have 4% times 2 of reduced alert level. So let me just do some quick math for you guys. So we got 28% reduced alert level base. We got another additional 8. That's up to 36. And then we have chest and chest again. So just by putting Talina on twice, we're already at, I think, 56% reduced alert level when opening chests. And you see that I've combined them there. I can 100% confirm that this is a stat that kind of adds together. So the base alert level will reduce everything by a flat amount. So killing, patrols, chests, everything. It'll reduce that by a lot. And the reason I can say this is because I've actually gotten to 100% reduced alert level, and we'll talk about how to do that later. And no alert goes up for anything. Like literally you can go through, kill the whole map, you can open all the chests, nothing happens. The only thing that'll trigger alert is when you actually open the end case, which is what we're aiming for here in this video. We're trying to get you guys to that point. So, very, very good. Let's move on. So, we now know that heist perks are super important. You can double them up, and you can double up their gear. So, this is essentially going to allow you to cherry pick the best perks, and it's also going to allow you to stack super overpowered gear and duplicate it on characters. So, if I was in theory to get the trap disarmament up via weapons here with a +1 all skills, I could actually put Talina on 3 times and get triple her perk and triple her gear. That is absolutely something that will happen on some blueprints, and you should be aiming for this when you're buying your blueprints, which is going to be very, very good. Now, just to kind of point out really how overpowered this is, we have Nanette, 22% reduced alert level. She's not even level 5 yet. It's going to go up to 26%. So if you put her twice on a contract, you already have flat like 52% reduced just by having her there from her heist perk, not including her cloak or anything. So it gets really, really, really ridiculous. So very, very cool indeed. So that's blueprints. Make sure that you're putting your most overpowered guys on multiple times. Make sure they're stacked with good gear, and you guys are going to be having a really, really good time. Okay, so now that the basics are out of the way, let's move on to the tier list, shall we? And we'll talk about these perks. So let's move on. We'll go through each of the rogues so you guys understand why I'm putting them in these kind of categories and tiers. And then we're going to talk a little bit about gear, and we'll finish off with my optimal team. So first of all, cast. He is lockpicking, perception, and agility. He has an incredibly good perk. However, the reason he's only green is because it's very specific. It's only reduced alert level for chests. Now, if you were in theory to get a lockpicking, perception, and agility contract, or blueprint, sorry, and you put him on 3 times, just by himself, because this goes up to 40% at level 5, he will actually make it so that you'll get no alert from opening chest, just by himself, which is quite good. Now, the reason this isn't actually crazy is because you cannot get general alert level reduction on gear apart from the implicit on cloaks, but you can get chest level reduction. So the actual most premium stat is global reduced alert. So that's what we're aiming for here, and that's why he doesn't quite make the cut. In addition to that, he almost shares 100% of his skills with a purple tier rogue, which is Talina, and she has global reduced alert level, which is the most overpowered stat. So that's why he's in green tier and not purple tier. If he had some different skills, he would definitely be purple tier. But yeah, so if you're looking to level up a lockpicker agility, go with Talina over cast, even though he is quite good in certain specific situations. Having said that though, for contracts, he is one of the best. When you're doing contracts, like lockpicking contracts or something like that, if you're farming currency, the massive amount, because you can only have 1 team member, is very, very strong. And the higher you get to 100%, the more chests you'll be able to open. So if you have cast with good gear on and you're doing contracts like with him, you should just be able to open all chests in a map. And that's why he's also green tier. So very, very good champion, but level up Talina first if you're planning on doing blueprints. Next, Niles. So this guy is just strictly bad at everything. He's kind of good at the start because he can unlock 1 chest after alert levels have triggered. But all of the other skills he has are just far destroyed by every other rogue. So I wouldn't recommend leveling Niles up at all. The only thing he has going for him is that he can get to, I think, Thaumaturgy 5, but you can, again, with gear, make other better characters do that, so I wouldn't worry too much about using this guy. He's definitely on the bench pretty much for the whole expansion for me. Next, Huck. This guy, again, he has basically no perk. Buffs allies is kind of cool at the start when you're leveling, but after you get good gear, this guy is basically useless. He has tons of skills, but he doesn't specialize in anything. So this guy, again, isn't useful really at all when you're comparing him to something like Nanette, who has reduced alert level. So don't level this guy up. He's pretty much useless in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think he's very, very good at all. Next, Tibbs. So the reason this guy is in yellow at all and not red is because he has brute force and demolition. So if we actually look at characters that have brute force and demolition, there are very few of them. The only two brute force characters are Huck and Tibbs, and Huck is useless. The other demolition character you can see here I have in blue. We'll get to that later. But basically Tibbs is going to be someone you would want to level up to 5 just because he has skills that no one else has. His perk is okay, but once you get to 100% alert, then obviously you don't need it anymore. So definitely look into using Tibbs just because he has good skills and you will make use of him quite well. But it's nothing crazy. Next, Nanette, our first S tier rogue. Nanette is by far the best rogue exile of them all, only with exception of potentially Vendiri later on in the expansion. But Nanette right now is, without like bis gear, by far and away the best rogue. And she should be the first one you level up pretty much immediately. Get her to 5 as soon as humanly possible. At 5, she should have 26% reduced alert level if I am correct, which is completely broken. She specializes in perception and thaumaturgy, and not only can she get perception of 5, she can get thaumaturgy to 4. So with one piece of gear, she's a 5/5 rogue, which is really good. So she's going to cover off 2 slots completely by herself, and she's definitely got the best perk out of every single hero. So she does also have scout enemy patrols here. If you played Metamorph League, it's essentially putting icons akin to Metamorph symbols on the minimap of where all of the kind of unique monsters and patrolling packs will be. This isn't really too necessary once you have 100% reduced alert level, but when you're like kind of starting out, I guess it could be useful to know where those packs will be, so you can maybe go around them if you want. But later on, this is basically not even relevant. So yeah, one of the best heroes by far. Make sure that you get her to 5. Basically every single person's going to have this player at 5. She's very, very broken. Next, Vendiri. Actually, I'm going to leave Vendiri to last. We'll leave him to last because it requires a bit of talking. Talina's next. So she's got a very different skill set to Nanette, which is very good. She's got agility, lockpicking, trap disarmament. But she also has global reduced alert level. So when you're looking for blueprints and you're buying them, you want to look for blueprints that have any of the 5 skills that these guys have, because it's basically going to allow you to open all the chests so that you can combine them. You know, if it's double Nanette, Talina, double Talina, this is going to be very good for you because it's going to allow you to get through the entire heist and open everything without much pressure. That's what I do. In addition to that, she also has 22% chance to find additional heist targets from secret rooms. So secret rooms, guys, are basically any room that you open on the side with league-specific rewards in them. So when you open, like, you know, a currency chest, a delirium chest, you know, talisman, whatever, it has a 22% chance to drop essentially the end thing that happens at a heist or a contract. So, you know, the item you get, which you can sell to the fence, it drops one of those, but they're worth a fraction of the cost. So essentially, it's about a 22% chance to get about 200 to 300 coins back from your contract every time you open a chest. So basically what this means is if you're running Talina in a blueprint and you have it fully unveiled, you should be able to sustain the rogue market cost of the blueprint running just from using Talina alone. Because I generally get, just with one Talina on there, about 2 to 3 of these things per run, depending on how big the blueprint is. Next up, Gianna. Okay, so Gianna I have in green here, despite her having basically no perk, which is used in active play. So you've probably seen in 2 of these guys here, discover a blueprint reveal on heist finish, or on completion or whatever, like stuff like that. What is this and like how do you use it? So the answer to what this is essentially when you've got a blueprint, I think I've got one here. You can go over here to Wakano the Barber and click Reveal Blueprint, and you can put one in. Oh cool, that's one already in here. And you'll be able to see this map here. We're not going to talk about blueprints in this video because it's a different video, but essentially you can scroll through your guys here and you'll notice that, oh, Wakano, he's the normal guy who basically whenever you do a map level contract, you'll get a reveal token, which will be put on this guy. When you're using either Gianna or Niles though, when you do that contract, you'll get 2 reveals. You'll get one on Wakano and you'll get one on Gianna or Niles, whichever one you want. Now, Gianna is a strictly better version of Niles. She has a higher discount on her unveiling. So you can see here she's already up to 35 versus 10. So Gianna is just way better. Now, why is she green? A, because she's got pretty good skills, which I haven't got covered yet. So she's not too bad. Specifically, Deception. The only 2 Deception characters are Gianna and Niles. So Gianna is the strictly better version of Niles. So of course you're going to use Gianna. And the other thing is to do blueprints effectively and most cost effectively, you will need to unveil them. And to get unveils, when you're doing contracts to farm that intelligence, you may as well farm it at double speed by doing Deception or Perception or Thaumaturgy contracts with Gianna. Because whenever you finish a heist, you're going to get 2 unveils or reveals instead of 1. And that second one will be at a fraction of the cost. So definitely very, very good. She's going to save you a ton of rogue markers. She's going to double the clear of opening up the contracts, or sorry, the blueprints. So she's a pretty good hero, in my opinion. So yeah, pretty strong, but only when you're unveiling blueprints and farming intelligence. Other than that, she's kind of just a blank hero, but you will use her for Deception. Next up, Isla. So Isla is one of the only engineers which has a positive effect. We do, of course, have Vendiri here, but we'll get to that. So he's pretty good just for that reason, but he does have a pretty good perk by himself, actually, and that's why I've put him here in yellow. 70% increased lockdown time is very, very strong. So if you have 30 seconds, it's almost going to be up to a minute. This is particularly useful when you're choosing rewards in blueprints or you're trying to open up multiple chests while going over the alert timer. So very, very strong. Again, he has engineering, which is something that we'll need. However, the reason he's in yellow here, or she's in yellow, is because you won't need to worry about lockdown timer after your rogues have good gear and you're cherry picking contracts or blueprints which have Nanette and Talina present, because you'll have 100% reduced alert level anyway. So that's why they aren't green, even though they are pretty cool. So let's go on to Vendiri now here. Let's talk about this. So he has an extremely bad and negative effect. He has 22, which will go up to 26, I believe. Level 5, increased alert level. So this is the opposite of Nanette. He's basically the counterpart to Nanette. So if you had Nanette and Vendiri in a party, they'd basically cancel each other out. So because alert level is so important, he's actually a very, very awful hero to level up early, and you absolutely shouldn't be using him if you don't have insane gear. So why is he potentially the best hero? Because he has 14% chance to double loot. So end game, he's going to be a 14% more multiplier on everything in your chest, which is a lot of money, especially if you're getting multiple exalts per blueprint when you're fully uncovering these things and you're running like 83 ones. So he could be very, very strong, but you need to get to a gear level where you have enough reduced alert level that you can counteract his increase. So that's why I've put him here. I imagine the best builds will probably include him, but they'll also probably include either double Nanette or Nanette and Talina, because they need to reduce that alert level to a point where they can loot the whole map. So yeah, that's why he's in blue. He's kind of a double-edged sword. I imagine I will probably be using him eventually, but I wouldn't recommend him leveling him up early. So now that we've taken a look at all of the rogues, let's get into the optimal and ideal team. So the team that I'm using here is going to be as follows. Tibbs for brute force and demolition. We have Isla only for engineering. We've got Talina on agility, disarmament, and lockpicking. But to do this, you will need to get her her kind of class-specific gear and get +1 all stats on it. Otherwise, you're going to have only level 2 trap disarmament. So you need at least level 3 to run mapping blueprints. So you will need to get that. Next up though, we have Gianna. I only have her on Deception. As I mentioned, she's one of the only Deception heroes. And then we have Nanette on Perception and Thaumaturgy. So you can see here, I have got a little bit of a calculator here to figure out how much alert reduction you're getting per hero. So with mediocre gear on my guys, for some reason I got logged out. I have already 34% reduced threat when opening chests per iteration of Nanette. So if I have it twice, I will get 68% reduced just with her gear, which is pretty insane. So that's my loadout and my recommendations. So you definitely want to be leveling up Nanette and Talina as fast as humanly possible. I'd recommend leveling up the other heroes I have as well. Looks like we're having some problems with PoE. To make sure that you can kind of get a really good loadout and get all of the skills covered. But yeah, that's going to be my tier list, guys. I wanted to quickly talk about road gear, but the game is unfortunately not loading. But maybe we'll do that in another video. Oh, we loaded up. Okay, so let's go to the rogue harbor real quick, and we'll talk a little bit about cloaks, because they are the main item you guys want to get your hands on. So we'll just load up here. So here we go. We've got a cloak here. And you'll notice it says, that's not the one I want. It says 8% reduced raising of alert level from opening chest. This is absolutely the stat you want to have on all of your cloaks, on all of the rogues you're using. The reason for this is because the vast majority of alert that comes from these heists is from opening chests. So that's going to be your priority. Make sure you roll that on all cloaks you have. Get the highest tier cloak you can as well. Global reduced alert level is no joke. The closer you get to 100%, the more chests and less stress you'll be dealing with. Now, let's quickly talk about max level. So the first thing you want to do is try and get those heroes to level 5. Even I haven't done that yet. But when you get to level 5, you can buy yourself a Whispering Cloak. It has 5% global alert level reduction implicit. And you want to get level 82 ones. I believe this is 82. Okay, this is 84. And the reason for that is you can roll a tier 1 chest reduction alert level mod, which is 12% at tier 1. So it's 82, get the cloak, roll that mod, and then if you have 3 of them, that's 36% chest reduction already. If you stack that with anything else, you're pretty much going to be Gucci to loot the whole map. That should be your guys' goal. That's been my road tier list. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Lots more videos to come. And I'll link the spreadsheet in the description as always. Hope you guys have enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.